As an emergency room physician for Wake Medical Center, UNC graduate Gay Benevides is on the front lines of healthcare in North Carolina. Although being a real doctor is not as exciting as TV shows such as ER and Grey's Anatomy, Dr. Benevides loves her job and its excitement. She also values the time she has for volunteering in the community, staying physically fit through activities such as biking and other sports, as well as listening to and getting to know her patients. In this segment of the Interview Women in Technology series, Dr. Benevides talks about the unlimited opportunities for women in technology, why learning is a lifelong process, and her appearance on ESPN SportsCenter.
Well, definitely all of the biology you use constantly, but it's a lot of other things you don't think about. Being able to communicate is probably the biggest characteristic that you need to have as a doctor, not only just so that patients can understand you, but you also have to be able to bring out the reason that the patient is actually there. Sometimes patients are shy, sometimes they just don't understand they don't understand what to tell you about their symptoms, and you have to kind of be able to relate to them and get them to open up in the right way. Now, I still, even though there's so many female doctors out there, when I'm at work, I still am constantly, even though I've introduced myself as the doctor, they still ask often, especially older patients will say, "When is the doctor coming in?" Because they don't quite understand how a young woman might be their doctor. Well, we certainly use for our medical record is a basic program that we have, and then we use our voice recognition dictation. But 10 years ago, I would walk out of a room and see something I'd never seen before, and I'd have to go to a big shelf of books and figure out how am I going to try to figure out how I can help this person. And now there's Google, and it's incredible how I don't even open up a book anymore, even if it's to find out a drug dose or to look at a rash. I can find out everything I want to find out on the internet. But also there's a lot of technology in the things we do with the patients themselves, like when you go to intubate a patient, we now have technology where we have a screen where there's actually a light that helps us look down into the patient's airway to see where we're going versus the old school ways we used to do things. Well, I'm a big cyclist, so I bike a lot, and I like to do lots of sports type things. I like to ski, like to water ski, run. I do half marathons here and there, that kind of athletic events. And also have lots of friends. You have, when you work not a traditional 9 to 5 weekday, you have a whole network of people who might happen to be off on a Tuesday afternoon, and you have to come up with creative ideas on what to do. Well, there are lots of opportunities just as a physician to volunteer, whether it is at sports camps, and they're actually free clinics. I work at a clinic called the Open Door Clinic, where patients who can't afford to have doctors come in and get their medical care for free. Unfortunately, there are a lot of corporate sponsors too that pay for drugs, so we can actually give the patients their medicines. At our downtown hospital in Raleigh, see more indigent care than any other hospital in the state actually does. And people need somewhere to go, and they can no longer go to a primary care doctor if they can't pay up front. And so we do tons of primary care that people can't get anywhere else. Well, it's a fantastic place to get an education. There are just so many good colleges around here, and lots of good schools with strong science programs. Any one of the major universities here is just a stepping ground to going to medical school and going to graduate school. And we're so fortunate that the in-state tuition is so reasonable in North Carolina that the opportunities are incredible. don't know that a lot were interested in math and science, but I think it's important just to be able to separate out the different areas of your life. Just because you take different classes doesn't mean you can't do the same social things or activities outside of your academics or your career. Well, when I first went into emergency medicine, it's just when the show ER became popular. So it was very funny seeing them do what we do every day. And certainly my job is not nearly as glamorous, and there's not as much social drama happening in the hospital. But we do get the crazy, crazy things you can't imagine would happen. They actually happen. And in fact, with the show ER, they used to randomly send out emails to ER doctors saying, we're not going to pay you for it, but if you have any really good cases or stories that might be interesting for the storyline, send them our way. And so I think that's how they get a lot of their information or their ideas for storylines. But one of the things that I think those shows, both Grey's Anatomy and ER, really do a good job is capturing the camaraderie that really happens when you are put in the environment of doing a residency, because it's really unlike anything else anybody else does. Your life for however many years becomes just the hospital because you're there so much. And so while the social part's not as interesting as it might be on TV, you still form that kind of bond with people that you're just never gonna ever not have. Well, I was in residency, and as part of our residency we had to staff any of the big events that happened in Chapel Hill, the football games, basketball games, or concerts in the Dean Dome. And so we just went to them, and if there was ever any kind of a disaster that the paramedics needed help with, they gave us a little radio and would call us. And one of the referees in the middle of one of the football games had a heart attack on the field. And so I was there along with a couple of my colleagues, and we had to run on the field and shock him and provide an airway for him to keep breathing. Yeah, they didn't interview me or anything, but you could see me running across the field, so I fulfilled every man's dream of getting on SportsCenter. I think one of the things that happens is that women have a lot of things that they're doing outside, taking care of family, and just taking care of the household, and that they learn to organize their time better. And so I think just being more disciplined in how you structure your day and when you're going to do what really helps with success.